Okay, let's start from the point where we have our blanks cut to size. They're all nice and even and straight. We've got them stacked up here. We're just going to tap them down, make sure we got everything squared up nice and neat. Then I have to come over here and about halfway up on this particular size that I've got ready to go. I'm just going to put a clamp on it. And these clamps aren't really that tight, just maybe finger tight really. Just enough to keep it from slipping around and doing funny things on us. Okay. And I can't tighten those very tight anyway, so no chance of me over tightening. Now, what I'm going to do is back here on the back side, I've got, let me zoom in on this for you. I've got some measurements here. My 1 inch goes out both ways, but I've got the 0 point twice. So I've got 1/8 of an inch, or the clearance, the curve of my saw blade is right here. This is it right here. So there's 1/8 of an inch right there, and that's going to be my mark. Now I've got a center point between that, so the 1/16 of an inch right there is the center point of my saw blade. Okay, so now let's zoom back out and see if we can do this to where I can make it understandable here. I'm not always the best at explaining myself, but I try. Okay, so this box, these boxes that I'm making here, I want them to be 4 by 4 by 8, which I've already set this up here. So what I did was, my 8 inches tall, I want my flaps to come into the center line. So each flap is going to be half the width, which would be 2, because I'm going to make 4. So each flap is going to be 2 inches wide so that they'll fold into the center. And that's all mathematics, and I'm pretty sure that most of you is going to understand that because it's real simple. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to set my cardboard right up against, you probably can't see that, but I've got the edge of my cardboard here right up against my little number 4. And I'm just going to make a pencil mark on that center line of my blade curve. Now I'm going to move down so that that pencil mark is to the 4 pencil mark here. Okay, so I've taken my mark, I've made it on my 0 point there, moved it down to the 4, and now I'm just going along and I'm just marking these for later reference here. This makes it really simple when we actually turn on the saw. Okay, so now I've made a pencil mark, hopefully you can see that, and I'm sliding that pencil mark down to 4. Now if it was a different dimension box, say it was a 2 by 4, I'd be going 2, 4, 2, 4. But in this case I want 4 by 4 by 4, so I'm going every 4. Making my mark, move that down to the 4. Okay, that pencil mark's lined up with my 4. And now I'm going to make another pencil mark on here, but we don't have 4 inches left over. That's fine because this is our flap that's going to go inside. Okay, so now I'm going to flip my blanks over, and it doesn't really matter too much as long as you keep track of what you're doing. In this case, just to make sure that you can understand a little bit better, I'm going to start again on the other side. So we're starting back at square one. I'm moving my edge point right to the 4. Okay, then I'm making my pencil mark on my center line. Move it down to the 4. Make another mark on my center line. And it means you measured from the wrong side probably, which I've done that before. Okay, right on the 4, and now I'm going to reach down here and I'm going to make my little mark on my center point there. Okay, now that's going to make it a whole lot easier when I'm coming down to this. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn on the saw and start cutting, because I've got my blade set at 2 inches high, which is going to come in here 2 inches, because I'm just lining up my pencil mark that I made before on my 0 point. There and back. Keep gentle but firm. I'm sure you know how to run a paper saw. You haven't had practice with a paper saw. You know all your safety rules before you start. And I'm not necessarily saying that you should do that. I'm telling you this is how I do it. People have asked me, how do you do that? And this is how I do that. Okay? That's that side. Now I'm going to flip it over. And the same thing on the other side. that's how big my little flaps are here on the end. That's what holds inside the box. Okay, now I'm going to line the edge of my box up on the two, because I want my flaps to be 2 inches tall. I got my blade out. It doesn't make that. I go just a little bit beyond the 2 on this, about 2 1/8, because I want the flap to be able to fold over that. I need to have a clip. So the flap will fold over that loop. Maybe that's it. A little bit more. Clean it up. Okay, so I'm going to put a 2 1/8 so that I've got that clearance. So my cardboard will fold over itself. Okay, so now I've got my box cut and everything that preceded this. Actually, I'm sure you would realize it's very, very simple. Maybe you might live close enough to a box factory that you might be able to get some cutoffs that already be the right size for you, or close enough that you can make them the right size easier. I'm kind of, sort of, not quite that lucky. So anyway, here we are. So now when we get ready to actually make our box, the way I do it, I got my return address stamp. I got my stamp on there. Take a straight edge along here, and let's just say this is my straight edge. Let's put it this way so you can see. I'll line up all the little ends of my cuts. Just make sure my straight edge is straight. And I'll take some sort of dullish, roundish object like the butt end of an ink pen. Those big pens, you know, those little big sticks or whatever they are, the real cheap ones. Those work really well. Maybe a dowel rod, whatever. And I just kind of score it there, and then I just bend it up. And you might get lucky enough to be able to do it that way, but I don't always do it. I like it a little neater than that, but that's it. So then I'd come back here, and then I'll line up all the little cuts here, do the same thing, score. And these sometimes bend pretty easy that way. So line up your cuts. Whoops, see that one's, that's why I like to score them, because they don't always do right. And so on down the line, and bend them, and now we've got our tab, and we bend it. So usually score it first. My fingernails aren't quite going to get that, but you get the idea. Okay, generally you'd score it. It's a lot nicer box. Let's just say we did this, and let me find something here. How about a pencil? What end of a pencil works good? This one's a colored pencil, so it doesn't have that sharp eraser brass thing on it. Now just run my pencil or other dull object across there like so, and see, that's a little neater of a bend now. So now when I get in there and I'm ready to start shipping something, I store them this way. And then when I'm ready to ship something, just get my tabs ready, get my packing tape ready, and fold. There's another thing you want to be sure to remember though. So what I'm going to do is I fold the end over the tab first. Where that tab is, that's the end you want to fold in first, and you want to fold this over top of that. And then as you continue, you'll start like so and so, tape it shut, okay? Put you some tape on here, and put your stuff in there, whatever it is, and of course then fold again, and make sure that you fold again this tab, this one, over the tail end tab, the small one. And you can make that whatever size you want. I used to make them the full width of whatever this was, but I found that I'm doing just well with this, and I get more use out of my cardboard. It's a little bit lighter to ship, and of course we all want to save money on our shipping. Our customers are much happier with the cheapest shipping that we can get for them, and to get it there fast and safe, which is why I use U.S. mail. Okay, so there's our box. It looks a lot like that when it's done, of course, with the tape and the address and everything on it. Neat and tidy.